my name is Cadet Yano, Georgia Regents University. I'll be your Alpha Company 1st platoon leader for this iteration. Please take out your pen and paper and prepare to copy. Please hold all questions till the end. Situation, area of interest. The Arianan-Etropian border is located in the South Caucasus region. Borders have been heavily disputed since 1991. Area of operation is the Fort Lewis training area. Terrain. In the company AO, the terrain is urban with paved roads and sidewalks with potholes, both grassy and graveled areas. Brick and wooden buildings cover the landscape. Weather. Today's high is a high of 58, low of 32, precipitation of 15%. Tomorrow, which is our training day, the high is 56 with a low of 31, precipitation at 20%. Please be aware that the prevalence of rapidly changing weather conditions and wet weather can adversely affect the activities. Necessary precautions need to be taken to safeguard personnel and equipment from the elements. Enemy forces, none. Friendly forces, higher headquarters mission and intent, 2 levels up. The 276th IBCT mission and intent. Mission. The IBCT conducts stability operations along the Ethiopia-Ariana international border in order to maintain Ethiopia's territorial integrity and prevent enemy forces from influencing the local population. Intent. Companies will conduct reception, staging, onward movement, and integration in order to be ready to deploy and fight. 1 level up. Alpha Company conducts flight physicals, equal opportunity training, CIF issue, and the regimental activation ceremony, RAC, on Fort Lewis on the 25th of June 2013 in order to set the conditions for successful deployment to Ethiopia. Intent is to conduct reception, staging, onward movement, and integration in order to be ready to deploy and fight. Area of emphasis, medical readiness. All cadets will be screened and cleared by medical personnel before deployment. Equipment issue, all cadets will have the equipment they need to deploy to a tactical environment. Safety, everyone is a safety officer. Please note that our training area does contain streets, so be aware of oncoming traffic. Mission of adjacent unit, Bravo Company will conduct flight physicals, regimental activation ceremony in our regimental area in order to set the conditions for successful deployment to support Ethiopia. Civilian consideration, some cadre members will be civilian contractors and you will address them with respect and with the courtesy title of sir and ma'am. Attachments, detachments, none. Mission, Alpha Company 1st platoon, our platoon, will conduct flight physicals, equal opportunity training, CIF equipment issue, and the regimental activation ceremony in the AO on 25th of June 2013 in order to set the conditions for successful deployment to Ethiopia. I say again, Alpha Company 1st platoon will conduct flight physicals, equal opportunity training, central issuing facility equipment issue, also known as CIF, and the regimental activation ceremony in the AO on 25th of June 2013 in order to set the conditions for successful deployment to Ethiopia. Execution. Commander's intent. It is my intent to fulfill the commander's intent with zero loss of personnel and equipment by conducting reception, CIF issue, and RAC in order to ready the element for deployment to Ethiopia. Purpose. The primary purpose of this operation is to ensure that all cadets have the equipment needed for field and tactical operations. Key tasks: complete all flight physicals and medical consultations, attend briefings in EO and regimental training, CIF issue and PCC/PCI of that equipment, conduct RAC, and meet all hard times in correct uniform with zero loss of personnel or sensitive equipment. End state: all cadets successfully complete flight physicals, draw equipment from CIF, and attend all briefing. Success is defined by completing all training, making all movement and start times, maintaining 100% accountability at all times, and receiving 100% of serviceable equipment and being prepared for follow-along missions. Concept of the operations: this is a 6-phase operation. First phase is preparation and CQ. Second phase is wake-up and accountability. Third phase is flight physicals, medical consultations, and EO training. Phase 4 is CIF issue. Phase 5 is RAC rehearsal, RAC and training information. Phase 6 is recovery. Tasks to subordinate units. For CQ duty, first squad, you will be in charge of 2155 to 2300. Second squad, you will be from 2300 to 2400. And third squad, you will be from 2400 to 0100. For those CQ duties, you will provide 2 cadets per each hour shift, as mentioned. Scheme maneuver. Please put down your pen and paper as I march you towards that table. that our stand table is oriented north, indicated by my north-seeking arrow. Our barrack area is bordered by 24th Street, F Street, and 23rd Street. All labeled buildings are pertinent to our operation. We are currently located here, right outside of 1st Platoon Barrack. Please note that our Jfax right here is to the south of us. That's where we will eat chow. Pickup site, this is our pickup site for CIF issue at the intersection of F Street and 24th Street. Building 3D21 is where we will conduct EO training and training supplemental guidance. Right here in the middle of this formation area is where we will conduct our rack rehearsals and rack. Our talk is located here to these two similar buildings. Please note that if you're trying to get to the talk from our 1st Platoon Barrack, it will be the first building you will hit in these two buildings. The second building is for Bravo Company. Building 11D35 will be our flight physical and medical consult pickup. Please note if you're coming from this building, as you will need to sign in from the talk after your medical examinations, it will be the second building that you will hit coming from this building. Building 11D56, which is on the opposite side of 23rd Street, will be where our air assault, airborne, and CTLT briefings are. Due northwest, about 30 minutes from our building 11D35, will be our MAMC. And our CIF pickup will be about 30 minutes from our CIF pickup site. We are currently in phase 1 of the operation, which our phase 1 is preparation and CQ. What needs to be done tonight is I need 2 rosters turned into my platoon sergeant no later than 2100 tonight. The first roster will be a list of individuals, will be the names of your CQ duty roster. So I should have 2 lists, or 2 names of personnel from each squad. The second roster will include names of any flight physical personnel, medical consults, or any individual that's interested in attending this airborne air assault CTLT briefing. If you find any personnel that is unaware, if they meet any of those requirements, go ahead and note their names so that we can send it up to hire and get back with them. What also needs to happen for this preparation for tomorrow's training day is that every squad member in your squad needs to have 5 of these tags filled out, which have been provided to you. You'll start with the first line will be Alpha Company, second line will be 7th Cav, and your third line will be your last name, first name, middle initial. These tags will then be attached to your duffel. These duffels will be laid out next to your bed tonight so that in the morning when things get hectic, we already have those squared away. Our phase 1 will be concluded with our CQ duty, which your 2 personnel from each squad will go ahead and meet right here at the talk. To reiterate, first squad, you have it from 2155 to 2300. Second squad, you have from 2300 to 24. Third squad, you have from 2400 to 01. Your personnel are not to relieve their duty until the following personnel come to relieve them. Our phase 2, which is our first call, will be kicked off at 0500 with the leader's wake up. Myself, my platoon sergeant, and all my squadlers will be up at 05. You have to 0525 to conduct your hygiene and barrack cleanup. Please lead by example. On everybody's bed should be their duffel laid out on top of a made bed with their 5 tags that should have already been filled out prior to that morning. You'll ensure all those beds look dress right dressed. There's no trash on the floor for barrack cleanup, and everything is put away. There will be no official wake up before 0530. So when 0530 hits, we will go ahead and get the rest of your platoon or your squad up. Please note that there's going to be 2 simultaneous timelines going on right now on this wake up. Your flight physicals, when they wake up at 0530, they only have to 0600 to conduct their hygiene and barrack cleanup. 0605, they'll form up outside of the barrack. They'll be counted out by my platoon sergeant, handed over to cadre where they will march to building 11D35 where they will be shipped to MAMC. Bring it back for everybody else who did not attend the flight physicals. You have until 0625 to continue hygiene and barrack cleanup. After that's complete and everybody looks dressed right dressed with their duffels on top of their beds with all 5 tags, we'll then form up. We'll march over to the Jfax, eat chow. After chow, we'll then form back up. March back over to our barrack. When you're at your barrack, this is a time for squad leaders. There's another simultaneous timeline happening now too, because any personnel that has been identified as medical consults, they need to form back up outside at 0720, counted off by my platoon sergeant. They'll be handed over to cadre where they will march to building 11D35, and they will then be shipped to MAMC. For everybody else that was left here at the barrack, this is the time for squallers to go ahead and ensure that everybody has all the necessary equipment needed for CIF issue, and to get a last chance at anybody who wants to attend these CTLT airborne or air assault briefings. All right, that will end our phase 3. Phase 4 is our CIF issue. We'll form up, after medical consults have been shipped out, the rest of us will form up. We'll march over to 3D21 where we will conduct EO assimilation training and supplemented guidance training. That other guidance training will be on personal hygiene and land nav. From there, our platoon will form up. We will march down to the pickup site for CIF issue, which will go ahead and kick off our phase 4 of the operation. Our pickup time for CIF issue for Alpha Company is 10:40. If your medical consult and your flight physical person are not able to meet that 10:40 time hack, they will then bump on to Bravo Company's pickup time, which is at 11:35. If still they do not meet that 11:35 pickup time for Bravo Company, you will note their name because they will fall in with 8th Reg tomorrow after the PT test. So, Alpha Company, we're now back here at the pickup site. We're gonna get transported from CIF pickup site to the CIF. At CIF, you will get an alphabetical order, so all platoon integrity will be thrown out the window. There will be a shuttle that is moving constantly from CIF back to this pickup site. So depending on your last name is when you'll get back to this site. Once you get back, you will head back to the regimental area and you will begin assembly on your CIF equipment, and you will note any deficiencies that you further come across. Once everybody is back, we have about 50 minutes until everybody is back to our regimental area with CIF equipment. In those 50 minutes, you will continue to do CIF assembly. The squad leaders will take charge at this point to write down any deficiencies that they have. And after that, we'll go into our phase 5 of the operation. So after that time, we will then form up, march over here to our RAP area, which is our formation. We'll conduct RAP rehearsal. From RAP rehearsal, we'll go straight into RAC. After the RAC, our RAC ceremony will end at 1800. Those individuals who have been identified as being interested in the CTLT airborne air assault briefing, they will front load to the DFAC at 1800. For 1815, they will have chow, while the rest of us will be back at our regimental area, continuing with CIF assembly. So, to go off of the people who are interested in the briefing, go through them first, their timeline. 1800, 1815 is when they will conduct chow. 1815, they will be back up at our platoon area. They'll be counted out by my platoon sergeant. They'll be handed over to cadre, which way they will then march over to 11D56 and receive their briefing. The rest of us, we'll still be back over here in the regimental area. We will then form up. We'll march over at our hard time to eat at the DFAC after chow. We are now in phase 6 of the operation. So we're eating chow. After chow, we will then form back up, get accountability, head back to the regimental area. At this time, it will be TAC officer time where we will receive briefings. And for situational awareness, any end of camp commissionees need to have their ASUs inspected by the platoon TAC no later than 1950 that night. So 1950 tomorrow night is the last deadline for end of camp commissionees to have their ASUs inspected. Lights out will be at 2200. But please be aware that CIF equipment needs to be put together tomorrow night so that it can be ready for the 26th of June to be ready to fight with. So if you need to stay up with your red lens and to continue assembling your CIF gear, that's what needs to be done. All right, please take up your pen and paper and prepare to copy our op order. Coordinating instructions. This op order becomes effective now. For the 24th of June, which is tonight, things that need to be done is, like I stated before, is identify by name rosters of the CQ duty, flight physical personnel, medical consults, and anybody interested in the CTLT airborne air assault training, a briefing. Squad leaders ensure that every cadet has their duffel bag, 5 white tags labeled as noted in my example. Those things need to be laid out in the morning prior to chow. Flight physical personnel need to have ID card, medical records, a black ink pen, and 2 MREs. Medical consultation cadets need to have an ID card, medical records, black ink pen, and 1 MRE. For the 25th of June, which is tomorrow, please be aware that accountability is needed to my platoon sergeant no later than 0540. That's 10 minutes after wake up. And you will maintain accountability and inform the platoon sergeants of any cadets who need to accompany Bravo Company to CIF, and any cadets that did not make it with Bravo Company so that they can attach to 8th Reg tomorrow. You will ensure that all squad members' CIF equipment is serviceable and put together correctly prior to training day of the 26th of June, and know all deficiencies and reports to the platoon sergeant. And also report any loss of sensitive items to the platoon sergeant as needed. Commander's critical information requirements: death or serious injury of cadet, cadre or family member, rape or sexual assault, loss of a sensitive item, missing cadet or cadre. Other coordinating instructions: ensure that flight physical personnel do not eat after 1900 tonight. They are to only drink water. For dinner, CTLT airborne air assault personnel will eat first, and end of camp commissionees need to be respected no later than 1850 tomorrow by their platoon tab. Timeline: please note that our orders are to become effective, so no later than 1900 tonight, flight personnel will not eat anything, and until they get the blood work done tomorrow. 2155 to 0100 will be our CQ duty. To re-emphasize, first squad you have from 2155 to 2300. Second squad you have from 2300 to 2400. And third squad you have from 2400 to 01. You will meet at the regimental top for that CQ duty. 2200, all lights out. 0500 to 0525 will be our leaders' wake up and hygiene. 0530 will be wake up and accountability. Accountability needs to be to the platoon sergeant no later than 0540. 0530, these red color indicates anything that deals with flight physical. So 0530 to 0600, flight physical personnel, that will be their hygiene and barrack cleanup time. 0605, flight physicals will form up. 0605 to 0625, they will move with cadre to building 11D35 as noted. 0630 to 0715, they will move from by vehicle to MAMC. And 0730 until complete will be their flight physicals. Bringing it back to where the rest of us are, minus the flight physicals, 0530 to 0625 will be our time to conduct hygiene and barrack cleanup. Remember that prior to going to chow, during your barrack cleanup, that duffels and 5 tags, as indicated in my example, need to be laid out on top of the beds. 0630 will have a formation. 0635 to 0640 will be moving by foot to the Jfax. 0645 to 0700 will be our chow. 0700 to 0705 will be our formation and movement by foot from the Jfax back to our barrack. 0705 to 0735, squad leaders will inspect the items needed for CIF issue. Please note that this blue indicates medical consults. This blue timeline is happening simultaneous to squad leaders inspecting items needed for CIF. So please be aware that 0720 medical consults will form up once again in the front. 0720, 0740, they will move by foot to the building 1.5. 0750 to 0830, by vehicle. Brings us over, back over here. 0830 until complete will be medical consultations by appointment. Just to reiterate, bringing us back on the same page, minus the flight physical and medical consult personnel, 0700, 0730 is the time that squad leaders have to inspect items needed for CIF. 0735 we'll have a formation. 0735 to 0750 we'll move by foot to building 3D21 for our EO training. 0800 0930 will be our EO training. 0930 to 1030 07 training on personal hygiene, which will be in the same building. 1030 to 1036 will be our formation and movement from 3D21 back site. For CIF issue, 10:40 will be our movement by vehicle from the pickup site to CIF. 1200 to 1300 will be our CIF issue. These indicate that these orange colors indicate situational awareness. 1140 to 1115 is Bravo Company's movement. So that's pertinent to us because of your flight physical medical consultations can't hop on with Alpha Company. They need to fall in with Bravo Company. By bringing it back to Alpha Company in first platoon, 1400 to 1600 will be shuttle movement. That's a constant movement from the CIF site back to the pickup site. 1500, 1550 is when CIF gear assembly and assessment will be done. 1550, we'll have additional formation. 1555 to 1700 will be our rack rehearsal. You have a little bit of time between rack rehearsal and rack to go ahead and use the bathroom, get yourself together. At 0720 to 1800, we will conduct rack. 1800, 1825, we will continue CIF assembly. Please note at this time when rack is done, as noted on the stand table, those individuals interested in the CTLT airborne air assault briefing, they will front load to the DFAC at 1800 and they will have chow from 1800 to 1815. 1815 to 1825 will be their formation and movement from the DFAC back to 11356 to the building that they will conduct the briefing at. 1830 to 1900 is the briefing. At 1830, this is bringing us back to everyone else minus those school personnel. We'll have a formation. 1830, from 1830 to 1840 will be our movement by foot to the DFAC. 1845 to 1900 will be our chow time. 1900 to 2200 will be our tack time. 2200 will be lights out. But please note that from 2200 until complete, all CIF equipment needs to be assembled and all deficiencies need to be indicated. Right here I have the uniform that coordinates with our timeline. Uniform A is ACU's black pen notepad. Uniform C is Summer PT's reflective belt 1 canteen. C1 is flight physical uniform, which is Summer PT's 1 canteen, reflective belt, jacket, medical records, black pen, 2 MREs. And C2 is medical consult uniform, which consists of Summer PT's jacket, 1 canteen, a reflective belt, ID, medical record, and 1 MRE. Also, cadets will carry ID cards and the duffel bag to CIF. Markers will be provided in order to mark CIF bags. My fourth paragraph will be read by my platoon sergeant.
Sustainment, logistics. Mill cycle is Alpha Mike Alpha. The order of chow is 3rd squad, 2nd squad, and 1st squad. Breakfast is served at 0645. Evening chow served at 1845. Please ensure that flight physicals have 2 MREs and the medical consults have 1 MRE. Transportation will be provided for flight physicals and medical consultations. 11 Delta 25 to Mapston. We will have transportation to and from CIF. The pickup site is located at 24th Street pickup site. Cadets must be standing by and ready to leave prior to the scheduled time. Transportation will also be provided to transportate equipment from CIF to the regimental area. Personnel, any cadet leaving or returning to the regimental area must sign the log-in sheet located in the regimental top. Health system and support. There is an emergency, dial 911. Sick call hours are from 05:15 to 08:30 and 16:45 to 1900. Cadets who are requesting to go to sick call report to regimental top no later than 15 minutes after the first call, and ACUs with a signed sick call slip from their platoon tag and ID card. Report all injuries to the cadre immediately.
Command and control. Command. Location commander. The CO will be located with 3rd platoon. Succession of command will be myself, the 1st platoon leader, my platoon sergeant Cadet Banks, 1st squad leader Cadet Brown, 2nd squad leader Cadet Brundage, and 3rd squad leader Cadet McClinton. Control, command post. Regimental TOC is building 3D21 as indicated in my stand table. Reports, accountability reports are due to platoon sergeant Cadet Banks no later than 10 minutes after first call, which is 0540, and you will update as needed. Signal, all communication between cadets and cadre will be done through runners. Are there any questions?